is coming is an interview with the father of the robotic spinal surgery, which was kindly done for us by one of the junior neurosurgeons, Dr. Farha Anjum. Farha is currently specializing in Germany, and she was very kind enough to do for us the interview that you're gonna see right now. Okay, Imat, are you possible to do to start the interview?
Hello, sir. Good evening. I hope that you are having a good time with your operation.
Yes, I did
Hi.
several operations today. Everything went perfect.
And thank you very much for your precious time for the interview. So, sir, I would like to know what inspired you actually to become a spine robotic surgeon.
Well, I think quickly, first one becomes a spine surgeon or a neurosurgeon first. And, I got the inspiration late in medical school. It was one of the last weeks of rotations on different surgical subspecialties, and I did neurosurgery and decided that that's what I wanted to do. And once I started treating in neurosurgery, I got very interested in spine. This is several years ago, but the reality is that I realized so everybody has a spine problem. There's so much to do in spine, so many ways to do it. And at the time, there was a great variability in how things were done. So I decided to dedicate, my career to spine surgery. And my mentor was Dr. Volker Sontag at the Barrow Neurologic Institute. And he was one of the first neurosurgeons really to completely dedicate his practice to the spine. And it was from there that I did the same thing and really haven't looked back ever since.
And, sir, why robotic spine surgery?
So the whole concept of the robot came to me about 25 years ago. And it was at that time while I was in Phoenix at the Barrow Neurologic Institute that basically had been working in the biomechanics lab with Neil Crawford, who was a biomedical engineer. And we were just starting to use image guidance in the spine. And it was difficult, and it definitely made us better, and I think made us more accurate, but it took a lot of time. So the whole idea was, how can we do what we do every day in spine surgery, especially when we use image guidance? How do we take that accuracy and how do we automate that process? So this became really a lifelong journey, and we started looking at things in about 2001, and then a few years later, we started to think about what a prototype would look like. Built the first working prototype of the Excelsius GPS robot in Phoenix. And then from there, was able to build a company around the technology. And we sold that company to Globus Medical. And then in 2017, Excelsius Surgical was FDA approved. And now, 8 years later, we have over 500 robots throughout the world, and the number continues to increase every month. So it's been very exciting to see. But the premise is very simple. How do we take a rather mundane task like putting screws in, and how do we make us better and faster at doing that?
And what is actually your role as a chairman of NFL and head, neck, and spine committee, and how you actually contribute to improve the player safety?
So probably 6 or 7 years ago, I was asked to be on the NFL's head, neck, and spine committee. That is probably the most visible of all the NFL medical committees, as it deals with concussion and spine injury. So very, potentially serious injuries that these athletes sustain. And concussion was a big one, and that's our biggest foe right now. It's our biggest enemy is concussion. And, along with Alan Sills, who's the chief medical officer, we've worked very closely over the past several years to look at what the data says, use the data to help us make decisions. So, for instance, one of the things that we've looked at are helmets. Some helmets are better than others, so we have all the helmets tested, and then what we try to do is get the players into better performing helmets. Well, we're now able to show that if you wear a helmet that is better in testing than one that's not, your concussion rate decreases. So we've been able to see that, and this year was one of the lowest years of concussion that we've seen since we've started monitoring that. The number will never be zero. Concussions in life will never be zero. People will always bump their head. Football is a risky endeavor, and we want to do everything we can to make it safer. So in addition to helmets and engineering, we're looking at other things, changes in the rules that might make things safer. And then how do we enforce all of this? It's a very delicate dance between the NFL, which is a big company, and the Players Association, which represents the players. We have to sort of walk in between all of that and come to really an understanding of what's best for the player. So it's been exciting, and the whole goal is to make the game of football, but really all sports, safer. How do we increase our ability to make a diagnosis of a concussion and everything, and treat concussion, and then get people back to life and to playing after they have one. So it's been a very special part of my life.
Yes, sir. And definitely, with this great journey, you face some challenges, and I would like to know that how you actually personalized, you take decision, and you intervene, and you require and recover. Can you please tell me some challenges?
Well, listen, every day is a challenge, right? In our specialty, in neurosurgery and spine surgery and medicine. And those challenges now are all over the place, right? I think my focus is and always has been taking care of the patient. And I think if we focus on that, the challenges become more understandable. So, for instance, right now in healthcare in America, with insurance companies and authorizations and all the paperwork, it becomes challenging. Sometimes in surgery, you have a difficult case, it's challenging. So we really have to develop really a sort of a personalized resilience to be able to deal with these challenges and really take care of ourselves as well and our families, because at the end of the day, you've got the small me, for instance, my family is the most important, and having that time to spend, having them there with me really helps my resilience, helping me stay healthy. And I think we have to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our patients. So I think the word really is going to be resilience. And how do we develop that over time? You cannot get mad at things that are small. You cannot get mad at things that you cannot change, but you want to focus on taking care of your patient and trying to get the best outcomes and taking care of yourself along the way.
Okay, great. So stress management may be the big thing.
Stress management's always important, right? Because again, we're faced every day with stress, with challenges. And you learn along the way how to make decisions, and you learn along the way what's important and what's not important. But again, managing that on a daily basis is important, because if you let that get to you and if it becomes overwhelming, then it's difficult to take care of patients when you're under so much stress. So you really have to sort of think about how you can get through each day the best we can and managing that stress.
And parallel to your clinical work, I also read some of your paper, and these are the masterpieces and 180 peer review and 10 patents. In between all of them, what do you think is the most impactful?
Well, I really feel like I've been blessed to be able to look at many things. Very, very excited about the work I've done in spinal cord injury, looking at perfusion of the spinal cord after injury and measuring perfusion. So I've spent the last 5 years developing a device that we can put on the spinal cord to help us measure perfusion after injury. The work I've done in lumbar drainage for spinal cord injury to improve perfusion pressure, I'm proud of that. Also proud of the along those lines in the spinal cord, proud of the work we've done with tethered cord, with people, adults with tethered cord and lipomyelin and the work we've done on vertebral column shortening. So I think that those are things I'm most proud of. Then the robot, I'm proud of that as well. So I've been very blessed, but you have to take each thing and you have to that we have in our life and try to become good at what we do and try to increase the knowledge that we have in every field. But I've been blessed to be able to do many different things and very excited about each and every one of them. We don't have enough time to talk about all of them.
And actually, where do you see spinal or robotic spinal surgery within 10 to 20 years?
So I think the adoption will continue to increase. I think it will become the standard over the next 20 years, to which everybody will be using some sort of assistive device in surgery. Right now, people say to me, well, I don't want to use the robot because I can put the screws in. I want the robot to do the drilling, and I want the robot to do the osteotomies, and I want the robot to do the laminectomies. That will come. And I think as we get better with machine vision and the ability of some sort of, visualization of the anatomy through image guidance or actual machine vision, what we'll do is we'll be able to have a situation where a robot actually does more of the surgery potentially than the human does. That's being done right now here at Johns Hopkins. I have a colleague who basically has a lab where they take an intestine, cut a piece of intestine out, and the robot sews the two pieces together without any human interaction at all, none. So if you can do that, you can do an osteotomy, you can do drilling. So we're getting there, and I'm working on that every day, and I see that as the future of spine surgery. So I think that we'll be working with robots more closely to do what we do. And then I think the other thing that will be important is the understanding of what artificial intelligence means, not just in medicine, but in spine surgery. Can we predict who's a candidate for surgery? Can we inform us what's the best surgery for the patient, and understand how do we get to the best outcomes for a given patient? Because right now, two surgeons may have different plans. Both may be right. One might be better. One might have less complications. How do we get that? And we do that by looking at our data and understanding that in a big picture. So I think that will ultimately be part of our armamentarium, is a very deep learning understanding of outcomes and potential treatments for our patients.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right. Thank you so much, Farha, and thank you to Nicholas Theodore for the interview. I think because of the time, we have to carry on further. So I'm going to pass on further to the Neuro-Oncology Committee.